In order to operate in the way that you need to and in the way that I need to, you and I need to know and operate out of wisdom God alone can give us. He knows. He knows. Look at one another and say, only God knows. The thing about it is, He wants to translate some of that to us, and He wants to do that through wisdom. You're very, very close to the book of James. I want you to turn with me there, verses 5 through 8 of chapter 1. If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given him without reproach. You know what that means? At no time will you ever go to God asking for wisdom that He will ever say to you, you know, the thing about it is, you are such an idiot. And honestly, if you come to me one more time and ask me for, I told you this before, I've shown you this before, and here you are again. At no time, let him ask God, who gives to all generously. You're not gonna get a ration of wisdom this weekend. You're gonna get you a lot of it. When my daughter Melissa was a little bitty thing, she would come to me in the kitchen and she'd hold out her little hand, and you know how precious the little palm of about a little 3-year-old is. And she'd hold out her little hands and she'd say to me, whatever she wanted, whether it was cookie, candy, whether it was little cracker, goldfish, whatever it was, she'd look up at me like this and she would say, can I have a bunch of it? Because she thought she might as well ask. I mean, you can just go, can I have one? Or you could say, she'd look at me just so, with those big green eyes, can I have a bunch of it? And I'd just go like pouring that stuff in that hand. Trusting God that as she grew up, she would know the difference between what would hurt her and what would bless her. And what I love about Melissa is, to this day, she wants a bunch of it. Whether it's Jesus, His Word, what He has to show, relationship, joy, laughter, even tears. I'll take a bunch of it. Why ask for a little when you could have a bunch of it? He gives to all generously and without reprimand. But it says in verses 6 through 8, but let him ask in faith without doubting, for the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea that is driven and tossed by the wind. For that person must not suppose he will receive anything from the Lord, since he's a double-minded individual, unstable in all his ways. Listen carefully to me. This what the scripture is telling us is this: that you and I, when we lack wisdom, we can ask for it. I mean, ask for it, and we will get a bunch of it, but we are to ask in faith without doubting. And what God's been teaching me when I began to learn these verses, particularly when I was studying the book of James for the Bible study, when God began to put this on me, I began to always couple my request for wisdom with gratitude immediately. Every time I ask God for wisdom, virtually every time, I follow it up by saying, thank you. I can't wait to get it. I'm going to get it. I can't wait to get it. Because He doesn't want us to doubt. You need right now to settle in your mind, you have come this weekend to get wisdom, and you're going to get it. You're going to get it. And not because you're such a good getter, but because God is such a good giver. Anybody? God is such a good giver. You lack wisdom, you are in the right house this weekend. Wherever you come from, whatever situation you're in, whatever is on your mind, whatever conflict you've got going on, you are here to get wisdom. Don't you doubt it for one single second. You ask Him for it, and you believe you're going to receive it, and you will get it. May the Father of glory give us the spirit of wisdom and revelation. Spirit of wisdom and revelation. I'm about to show y'all something so fun. Now, here's our deal. You and I have to make a deal in the house this weekend, because wisdom stretches all the way from Genesis 1:1 to the very end of Revelation 22. I mean, it is a principle throughout the scriptures. Jesus Christ himself was the incarnation of wisdom. He is the very wisdom of God. So it's a huge concept. So there's no way we can get our mind wrapped around biblical wisdom. So what you and I are going to do is that we're going to settle most of what we're doing right here on Proverbs 8 and 9. So we're going to learn a few things. Somebody listen to me. What did I say? How many things? We're going to learn a few things about wisdom, but those few things could change everything. I'm going to wait for somebody to get that with me. We're going to learn how many things about wisdom? But those few things could change what? Everything. So I'm just going to throw this out at you. Here's our definition of wisdom. Skilled living from treasure hunting. What areas are involved and can be touched by godly wisdom? Because it would seem like would be religious things, right? Well, no, because that is why wisdom sits at the city gate. That is why folly sits at the city gate, because everything inside the city can be affected by wisdom or folly. Everything, absolutely everything. Think urban, think city, a place of life, all socialization, education, government, commerce, architecture, community, family, everything within it. You do not have the one life, the one set of circumstances, the one adolescent, the one sick parent, the one diagnosis, the one job, the one vocation that cannot be profoundly affected by wisdom. Wisdom turns on its ear. And to turn something on its ear is to change something in an exciting way. For instance, we might say, it doesn't even have to be a good exciting, it could be a bad exciting, it just is exciting. The internet has turned our way of life on its ear. Social media turned relationships on its ear. Technology, generation after generation, turns the world on its ear. Wisdom turns on its ear. Where am I getting that? 8:6. Look at Proverbs 8, verse 6. Hear, for I will speak noble things, and from my lips will come what is right. The NIV says, listen. Listen. We stand here, and I love this picture because it says folly just sits. Folly sits and is loud from the chair. But we're told that wisdom stands and cries out. Every time we stand at that crossroad, all we have to do, turn that ear. What is it you want me to know? Where is it you want me to go? It begins with listening. If we are not good listeners, we will never be wise people. If we always have to do all the talking, we are not doing the learning.
We hope you're enjoying this presentation of Living Proof. If you've ever considered joining others for an in-depth Bible study, well, Lifeway is offering a great way to get started. Beginning this month, you can register for the October online study of The Faithful, Heroes of the Old Testament. This is a fascinating 5-week study drawn from a variety of great teachers, like Priscilla Shirer, Jennifer Rothschild, Kelly Minter, Lisa Harper, and Beth Moore. Explore pivotal moments in the lives of 5 of our Old Testament predecessors. Walk alongside Gideon, Nehemiah, Esther, Hosea, and Malachi as they choose to obey God, whatever their circumstances. The online video content will come to you for free, but you'll need to register, and you'll certainly want a workbook. Visit our website now, and you can buy 2 workbooks, one for you, one for a friend, for only $20. The online study begins October 11th, so head to bethmore.org/TV and buy your workbooks and sign up for free, or join your neighbors for the study at your local Lifeway store.
Now, the beautiful thing about simulcast is you can do it all sorts of different ways. You can either be in a group setting that takes place at a church in a sanctuary, or you might be in a small group like this right here, maybe even some of your very own coworkers. Or you can just be at home in your pajamas.
Oh, yeah, it is. Hallelujah.
Or you could watch the simulcast at the hair salon. Oh, so does your car need cleaning? Well, you can take simulcast to the car wash with you. Or better yet, you could go get a pedicure and watch the simulcast right there. Or you could just go to your very favorite coffee shop and just have non-stop coffee all through the simulcast.
Okay, I got to show you something. Oh, I love this so much. I'm just asking God. I'm asking God for the wisdom to even teach this next portion in such a way that will not be confusing or easy to twist and turn. Go with me to Proverbs 8, verse 12. Now, we've already met wisdom. She's calling out from the crossroad. And it says in verse 12, this is the same wisdom, I, wisdom, dwell with prudence, and I find knowledge and discretion. Prudence is not a word we're really in love with. Isn't that the truth? Like prudence, like I'm really praying. Like, how can I pray for you? Prudence. I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, we want to be modest people, but prude, I don't know, it's just so close to prune, I think. But you know what prudence is? Because it's actually a fascinating word in the Hebrew. It can be a negative or positive word depending upon the context. So the context decides whether it is a good thing or a bad thing. The word that translates prudence in Hebrew in a bad context, in a negative context, means someone who is scheming, someone who is tricky. But in a good context, it means someone who is shrewd. It would be what Jesus was talking about when he said, I want you to be as innocent as doves and as shrewd as serpents. It would be the ability, prudence would be the ability to be able to find your way out of a maze. It would be the ability, the God-given ability. Some of you are in a situation you need out of. You need out of. I mean, you need to escape out of it. And God has a way of escape for you. And you need to trust him. Now I'm talking about if it's godly, if it's an ungodly situation and you are in harm's way. You know the kind of thing I'm not talking about and the kind of thing I am talking about. I'm not talking about when we're just frustrated with who we're living with. I'm talking about when we need escape. And wisdom provides exactly step by step, one step at a time, how that's going to take place. Go back with me to verse 13. The fear of the Lord is hatred of evil, pride and arrogance in the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. I have counsel and sound wisdom. I have insight. I have strength. By me kings reign and rulers decree what is right. By me princes rule and nobles, all who govern justly. I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me. Riches and honor are with me, enduring wealth and righteousness. 19. My fruit is better than gold, even fine gold, and my yield than choice silver. I walk in the way of righteousness, in the paths of justice, granting an inheritance to those who love me and filling their treasuries. Look carefully. Verse 22. The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his work. Possessed who? Wisdom. The first of his acts of old. Ages ago I was set up, at the first, before the beginning of the earth. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no springs abounding with water. Before the mountains had been shaped. Before the hills, I was brought forth. Before he had made the earth with its fields, or the first of the dust of the world. When he established the heavens, I was there. He drew a circle on the face of the deep. When he made firm the skies above. When he established the fountains of the deep. When he assigned to the sea its limit, so that the waters might not transgress his commands. When he marked out the foundations of the earth, there I was beside him, like a master workman. And I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always, rejoicing in his inhabited world, and delighting in the children of man. Now I want to say something to you tonight very, very clearly. In the New Testament, Christ is wisdom incarnate. But what we have in Proverbs chapter 8 is imagery, not incarnation. It is critical that we understand the difference between imagery and incarnation. Jesus Christ came in the flesh. We cannot even be saved if we do not believe that. If we believe that he just came in the spirit and it appeared to be flesh, 1 John says that that's a deal breaker, a deal breaker. There is the incarnation, and then there is imagery. In Proverbs chapter 8, what we've got going there is pure imagery. It's not typology. He is speaking, this is King Solomon speaking, of the gift that was given him in 1 Kings 3:28 when he asked for wisdom. Now, we've already seen wisdom turns on its ear. This is going to get fun right here. Number 2 is wisdom is a whirl with wonder. Remember, you and I are sinking our titanic misconceptions of wisdom. There is a playfulness and a wonder that is recaptured in knowing something and grasping something and having skill at living in some area that they could not have known without God himself. The young, the old, there is a playfulness that wisdom makes room for. So in this imagery, think of it this way. Remember, imagery, not incarnation. Wisdom is interacting with and reacting to what God is performing through her. So it's all just a word picture that is being placed on the page before us. It's the revelation of God's brilliance displayed in creation. New American Commentary puts it this way, Dr. D.A. Garrett. Woman wisdom does not personify an attribute of God, but personifies an attribute of creation. She is personification of the structure, plan, or rationality that God built into the world. Okay, I'm gonna put this in real layman's terms here. See if you can go here with me. That God is allowing on this page, under the inspiration, wisdom, it is as if it's being personified to watch what God is doing with it. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? That everything in creation, God was creating out of divine wisdom. So here is this wisdom in Proverbs being personified as watching this whole thing. Remember, imagery. But picture this with me. Wisdom saw creation spring into existence, ex nihilo, out of absolutely nothing. Chaos comes to order. Light pierces the darkness. The earth is formed, and God turns it on its axis. An estimated 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe. Try to wrap your mind around that. The wisdom that sent all these planets spinning, that caused dry land to separate from the seas, that suddenly grass is sprouting and flowers are blooming and there's like birds are flying and fish are swimming and whales frolicking. Anybody understanding what I'm saying? The stripes on zebras and the spots on leopards, the shells on turtles, the fur on panda bears, the tails on monkeys, the udders on mothers. I had to, because it was really a wise thing that God gave mothers udders. Then wisdom like watches in wonder as God takes soil from the ground and starts working it in his hands, and he forms this body, and all of creation looks at it and goes, just imagery here, just a metaphor here. Man, that is some kind of weird animal. No feathers, no fur. And suddenly it takes form and it's this human. God did something different here because he took the soil in his palms, warmed it, formed the body of the man then he gets down and gives that dead body CPR. And that chest starts to rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall. And that dead gray skin starts getting pink and lively. Welcome to the wild side. Listen, I got to tell you something. Nothing on the earth will age us faster than folly. Nothing will take some years off of our insides. I'm not talking about our outsides. Our insides, our hearts, and our minds, like wisdom. You want to hear something crazy? That word that's translated rejoicing, or by the scholar playing, it's the same word in a different form used in Proverbs 31 about the Proverbs 31 woman laughing at the days to come, laughing at the future. You guys, any of you remember any context in which Isaac was sporting with Rebekah, his wife? That's the same, it's a form of that same word. And it meant that he was caressing her, maybe tickling her, hugging her, flirting with her. It's widened the whole concept. And do you see the fun in the word? Here is what I want you to hear. I want you to understand with me that when God, by his wisdom, created this entire universe in a way that it actually works and stays put, when he created an earth that actually keeps spinning on its axis and is the only known planet in the entire universe that can sustain human life, the wisdom of God, when he formed fearfully and wonderfully the human body and the way it works. Does anybody get that with me? But I want you to understand that we, as a work of his wisdom, are a delight to him. A delight to him. And do you know, when you and when I, a people flawed and prone to folly, actually do get a little bit of divine wisdom, that God is actually happy about it. Can anybody in the room picture that God could actually be happy about you? And that he doesn't just go rub his hands through his holy white hair and go, finally. But that wisdom rejoices when it falls on a human heart and makes a skillful decision. My daughter Melissa reminded me of this quote by G.K. Chesterton in Orthodoxy. It says this, and I'm quoting him: "The more I considered Christianity, the more I found that while it had established a rule and order, the chief aim of that order was to give room for good things to run wild." We're going to find out something about folly and wisdom. We're going to find out that folly is what keeps us trapped, and that wisdom is what gets us out of the house without us destroying our own lives. Brings us to number 3. Wisdom exists to engage. I love this because it means that it's the foolish that need to be locked in a room, and it is the wisdom that get to go out into some of the places where they can actually take it and engage culture. I think about Dr. Russell Moore, sent into the world of government by God right there in D.C., a man that confers with the president and with people in high places of government. A world a godly man can enter under 2 conditions: if he is wise but not wise in his own eyes, and if he is wise enough to know he is not beyond being foolish. Wisdom exists to engage culture, conversations, debate, community, creation, science, mathematics, but its specialty is relationship. I'm going to tell you something as we close. Listen, it is never too late for the foolish to become wise, and it is never too late for the wise to become foolish. Never. We can be wise and get to be 85 and suddenly play the fool. We can be 18 and be wiser than our teachers, but we will probably never know it because wisdom is not wise in our own eyes. How many of you work outside and inside the home? Okay, any of you at your wits' end with a or members of your family? Okay, can I ask you a question? Does anyone in the room lack wisdom? All right.
Living Proof would like to send you a thank you gift for your donation. Visit bethmore.org/donate.